Ezekiel chapter 40.
25 years after King Jehoiakim and the rest of us had been led away as prisoners to Babylonia, and 14 years after the Babylonians had captured Jerusalem, the Lord's power took control of me on the 10th day of the first month. The Lord showed me some visions, in which I was carried to the top of a high mountain in Jerusalem. I looked to the south and saw what looked like a city full of buildings. In my vision, the Lord took me closer, and I saw a man who was sparkling like polished bronze. He was standing near one of the gates, and was holding a tape measure in one hand, and a measuring stick in the other. The man said,
"Ezekiel, son of man, pay close attention to everything I'm going to show you. That's why you've been brought here. Listen carefully, because you must tell the people of Israel what you see."
The first thing I saw was an outer wall that completely surrounded the temple area. The man took his measuring stick, which was 10 feet long, and measured the wall. It was 10 feet high and 10 feet thick. Then he went to the east gate, where he walked up steps that led to a long passageway. On each side of this passageway were 3 guard rooms, which were 10 feet square, and they were separated by walls over 8 feet thick. The man measured the distance between the opening of the gate and the first guard room, and it was 10 feet, the thickness of the outer wall. At the far end of this passageway, I saw an entrance room that faced the courtyard of the temple itself. There was also a distance of 10 feet between the last guard room and the entrance room at the end of the passageway. The man measured this room. It was 13 feet from the doorway to the opposite wall, and the distance from the doorway to the wall on either side was 3 feet. The 3 guard rooms on each side of the passageway were the same size, and the walls that separated them were the same thickness. Next, the man measured the width of the passageway, and it was 22 feet, but the 2 doors of the gate were only 16 feet wide. In front of the guard rooms, which were 10 feet square, was a railing about 20 inches high and 20 inches thick. The man measured the distance from the back wall of one of these rooms to the same spot in the room directly across the passageway, and it was 42 feet. He measured the entrance room at the far end of the passageway, and it was 34 feet wide. Finally, he measured the total length of the passageway from the outer wall to the entrance room, and it was 85 feet. The 3 walls in the guard rooms had small windows in them, just like the ones in the entrance room. The walls along the passageway were decorated with carvings of palm trees. The man then led me through the passageway and into the outer courtyard of the temple, where I saw 30 rooms built around the outside of the courtyard. These side rooms were built against the outer wall, and in front of them was a sidewalk that circled the courtyard. This was known as the lower sidewalk, and it was 85 feet wide. I saw the gates that led to the inner courtyard of the temple, and noticed that they were higher than those leading to the outer courtyard. The man measured the distance between the outer and inner gates, and it was 170 feet. Next, the man measured the north gate that led to the outer courtyard. This gate also had 3 guard rooms on each side of a passageway. The measurement of these rooms, the walls between them, and the entrance room at the far end of the passageway were exactly the same as those of the east gate. The north gate was also 85 feet long and 42 feet wide. And the windows, the entrance room, and the carvings of palm trees were just like those in the east gate. The entrance room also faced the courtyard of the temple and had 7 steps leading up to it. Directly across the outer courtyard was a gate that led to the inner courtyard, just as there was for the east gate. The man measured the distance between the outer and inner gates, and it was 170 feet. The man then took me to the south gate. He measured the walls and the entrance room of this gate, and the measurements were exactly the same as those of the other 2 gates. There were windows in the guardrooms of this gate and in the entrance room, just like the others. And this gate was also 85 feet long and 42 feet wide. 7 steps led up to the gate. The entrance room was at the far end of the passageway and faced the courtyard of the temple. Carvings of palm trees decorated the walls along the passageway, and directly across the outer courtyard was a gate on the south side of the inner courtyard. The man measured the distance between the outer and inner gate, and it was also 170 feet. We then went into the inner courtyard, through the gate on the south side of the temple. The man measured the gate, and it was the same size as the gates in the outer wall. In fact, everything along the passageway was also the same size, including the guard rooms, the walls separating them, the entrance room at the far end, and the windows. This gate, like the others, was 85 feet long and 42 feet wide. The entrance room of this gate faced the outer courtyard, and carvings of palm trees decorated the walls of the passageway. 8 steps led up to this gate. Next, we went through the east gate to the inner courtyard. The man measured this gate, and it was the same size as the others. The guard rooms, the walls separating them, and its entrance room had the same measurements as the other gates. The guard rooms and the entrance room had windows, and the gate was 85 feet long and 42 feet wide. The entrance room faced the outer courtyard, and the walls in the passageway were decorated with carvings of palm trees. 8 steps also led up to this gate. Then the man took me to the north gate. He measured it, and it was the same size as the others, including the guard rooms, the walls separating them, and the entrance room. There were also windows in this gate. It was 85 feet long and 42 feet wide, and like the other inner gates, its entrance room faced the outer courtyard, and its walls were decorated with carvings of palm trees. 8 steps also led up to this gate. Inside the entrance room of the north gate, I saw 4 tables, 2 on each side of the room where the animals to be sacrificed were killed. Just outside this room was a small building used for washing the animals before they were offered as sacrifices to please the Lord, or sacrifices for sin, or sacrifices to make things right. 4 more tables were in the outer courtyard, 2 on each side of the steps leading into the entrance room. So there was a total of 8 tables, 4 inside and 4 outside, where the animals were killed and where the meat was placed until it was sacrificed on the altar. Next to the tables in the entrance room were 4 stone tables 20 inches high and 30 inches square. The equipment used for killing the animals was kept on top of these tables. All around the walls of this room was a 3-inch shelf. The man then took me to the inner courtyard, where I saw 2 buildings, one beside the inner gate on the north, and the other beside the inner gate on the south. He said,
"The building beside the north gate belongs to the priests who serve in the temple, and the building beside the south gate belongs to those who serve at the altar. All of them are descendants of Zadok, and are the only Levites allowed to serve as the Lord's priests."
Now the man measured the inner courtyard. It was 170 feet square. I also saw an altar in front of the temple. We walked to the porch of the temple, and the man measured the doorway of the porch. It was 24 feet long, 8 feet wide, and the distance from the doorway to the wall on either side was 5 feet. The porch itself was 34 feet by 20 feet, with steps leading up to it. There was a column on each side of these steps.